Hello guys and welcome back. This time, we will go through the steps of making such amazing exterior design, and present it in a great way. This will be a step-by-step tutorial, so without any further ado, let us jump into it. Start by deleting the default objects. The structure we're doing today is this chapel, and you can look it online for more reference photos. From Shift-A, add a plane. I will press Enter to change the parameters, and make it 10 by 18 meters. We will go a bit on proportions here, so adjust it if you want to. Now from the top view, press Tab for edit mode, and hit Ctrl-R to add a cut on this plane. For this long side, I will do 8 cuts, and will do extra 4 on the other side. Now with face selection, we can highlight some faces in a pattern to move them up and start giving this plane the basic shape, so I will hit G and move those faces up by 6. I will also select those 3 faces in the mid-row and move them up by 3. I wrote all the numbers on the side if you want to follow the tutorial exactly, but you can experiment with those length. Again, we are doing this on proportions, so do it as you like. I did here switch to edge selection and I will hit G to move couple of the edges around. After moving those edges, we can select the 4 corner vertices and move them down a bit. Once we've done editing the shape, go to modifiers and drop on it a subdivision surface. This will give it the smooth organic look. Increase the level count to 3, and go to front view. So as you see, we already got the basic shape. What we can do now is jump to edit mode and modify it. With the right mouse button, hit smooth shade. I think the mid area is quite narrow, so I will select the mid vertices and scale them up on the Y. We can move those 2 vertices to the back and give it more curvy corner from the top. Now to keep the symmetry on both the front and back sides, I will add a segment here and cut half of the shape, then use a mirror modifier to complete the shape again and make it easy to edit it. And try to keep the modifiers in order. We can now add some thickness to this shape with the solidify modifier, so apply the scale to the shape, drop the solidify under the subdivision, and give it some thickness. Now to add the bottom part, I will make a copy from this shape, and move it to the left by a known amount, so that we can move it back later. In this new copy, we can move the cursor to its center, then with Shift-A, add a cube there, and scale it to fit the shape. Move the cube up as shown. We will use Boolean to cut it with the shape copy, but before that, let us apply the modifiers on the shape copy alone. We also need to add couple of cuts on the cube. Boolean usually ruin quad faces, and in most cases you can't add cuts to a Boolean mesh in a normal way, so I will mark the floor level, the mid and center frame lines with 3 cuts, then we can go with the Boolean. Once we are done here, select the cube, then go to modifiers to add a Boolean. Take the pin from the object field and select the shape copy. Now switch to wireframe view to make sure it works. After we apply the Boolean, we can delete this copy. Then to clean the cube, hit Tab for edit mode, press A to select all, then press P to separate mesh by loose parts, and here you have it. We don't need the top part, so delete it. In the bottom one, we need only the surrounding faces over the floor level, so select them in any way and delete the rest. Now with those faces, I will make a copy and move it back by the same amount we used earlier. This one will work as glass, and we still need the frames. So with this one on the right, I will first make a copy from it. We made the new copy to get the mid edges into curves. So with this first mesh, select it and convert it to curves. Now with this one on the right, use edge selection to highlight all the missing edges from the left curve, then we will separate it from the mesh, convert it to curves and join it with the first one. I did hit P to separate the selected edges, then we can delete the rest. We can now select it and convert it to curves as shown, then hit Ctrl J to join them in one object. In the curve settings, go to Geometry tab and adjust both the extrude and the bevel depth in a small values. Once we are done, we can move them back under the main shape. We also have extra shapes over the frame, so I will add a cube in this area and edit it, and we will do the same thing in each corner. Once we are done with this one, we can copy it around with the middle piece and use the mirror command to flip it. The rest is just basics. I will add a new plane to work as floor, place couple of cuts on it, and extrude a narrow path leading to the main mesh. We can now select all faces and extrude them down to give the floor some thickness. After that, go to front view to add a camera there. For this scene we will go with a square framed shot. It's a bit empty on the sides so we can count on the sky to help us present the scene. In the camera settings, we can use the shift value and give the structure more height appearance. I will also add a plane to work as a water surface and make a copy of it to be on both sides of the path. For the back area, we will add a plane, subdivide it, and use some brushes to shape it into ground. It won't show that much since I am going for a night render. Now if we go to sculpt mode, we can with the first brush adjust the radius and strength, and press it over the plane, so the aim here is to make some difference in height on this plane for the background. We can here switch to the smoothen brush and settle it down a bit. For the front path, I will add a cut on it. Hit Ctrl B to split it into two. What I am trying to do is to make a small faces on the side, so that we can extrude it up a bit, and put some lights in it to cast on the pathway. Once we selected those four faces, we can extrude them up 2 times, and will again after that extrude the upper parts to inside. Now with those upper faces, we can hit the right mouse button, and extrude them along normal to inside. So to start lighting the scene, we will go to the World Lights tab, and in the color input, select the environment texture. I will link to you all the things we will use in this tutorial, so check the description box. We are also switching to Cycles engine, but you can render it with Eevee if you're aiming for animations. Here in the shading window, I will switch to the world node, and hit Ctrl T on the sky texture to add 2 extra nodes and control the sky rotation. We are also going for a night scene, so I will make the strength on a low value. For the materials part, we will use some pre-made materials. First is the water, courtesy of Ian. We will append it to the scene, and just select it from the slider. And though this water set is great, we need a more subtle and reflective surface, so I will copy the glossy node and remix it with the original set, then we can control the mix value to make it more reflective. Now we can select the other water plane, then select the one with the material, and hit Ctrl L to link the water to the first one. For the floor material, I will use the Blender Kit library, and just search for a marble floor. It's all free to use, so just install the add-on for Blender 3.0, the older versions of it in default with the add-ons list. Once we add the marble, we can select all faces in edit mode and hit U to unwrap it, then we can scale the unwrap to fit. The main covering will have a basic white material. For the frames, we will give them a wood material later. I used the same wood from a chair model, so once we import it to the scene, I will drop the wood material on those frames. For the glass, the kit library has a good collection of glass materials, but I kinda use this one quite a lot, and it's easy to modify, so drop it on the needed area, and make the transparency on a high value. For the background plane, I will append a new material that I downloaded from Polyhaven, and just select it for this plane. The texture is a bit large, so we need to scale it around. For the artificial lights, we will add couple of area lamps on the pathway and inside the main mesh. It's a night scene, so we will go with orange color and give it some power to pops up. This looks nice for me, so I will copy this light 3 more times on the path area. I will also add a new area light inside the main mesh, and as before, put it on orange color, increase the power, and copy it around as you see fit. To add the inside models, I will make a new collection, go to Append, and import the model file to the scene. some simple shapes as you see. We will copy it couple of times, and also use this wood material in the frames. I will select all the frame parts and hit Shift H to isolate it, then we can add to one of them the wood material and link it to the others. Once we add the wood to all of them, we can select the entire frame, hit Tab for edit mode, highlight all faces by hitting A, and UV unwrap it. I will also add a bevel modifier to this corner piece and link it to the similar ones. A bevel on those floor edges might be good looking, so add it here, and make sure to apply scale before using modifiers. We still need some trees in the back area, so add a tree model with the append process, and just scatter it around in any way you see. I will make a few copies to close the back view. Now once you are satisfied with the scene, go to the render settings. We will go with 600 samples, and the rest are just basics. I did make the bounces on 8 here, and just render it. You will end up with something like this shot, With the help of filters we can in 2 clicks turn it into this amazing look. If you want to get the same filter I used, the link down below. So that's it guys, stay sharp, goodbye.